103, 5 Lincoln 102, Lincoln 103 and 102.
Responding to 401 parking structure, section 1 boy.
Henry 8, Henry 9. Respond to gate 437 Bravo for your dignitary detail. 3K 911 unattended 400 lower level near carousel 4 black bag. GTA in progress 401 parking structure section 4 boy.
Responding to 401 parking structure, section 1 boy.
415 passenger onboard aircraft.
Control 2 Franklin en route.
484 suspect is female, Hispanic, 28 years of age, blue jeans, no further.
Control 5 Frank 401 is en route.
Good morning, everyone, and welcome to this edition of the Private Officer Beat Radio on this July the 6th, 2020. I'm the host of the radio show, founder and CEO of Private Officer International, Armor College, and several other businesses. My name is Rick McCann, and I want to welcome you along with all of those listening from around the world and those POI members who religiously listen to the program. We want to thank you for not only your support and for listening and being a follower and a believer of what POI stands for, but we also want to recognize you for keeping the faith and your ever-dying support as a member of this organization. For those of you who might be new to the program, especially our new friends listening in several other countries, we want to welcome you and let you know that Private Officer International sponsors this radio show, the Private Officer Beat. Private Officer International is a private security and law enforcement organization that started back around 2002, officially around 2004. We've been around now for 16 years, and we'll be around for another 16 years because of great support from people like you and our followers across the social media platforms around the world and across the nation. Today, we have a lot of serious business to take care of, but first, let me say happy 4th of July. I know I'm a couple of days late. I myself took a couple of days off, something I don't usually do, very often anyways, and I did relax down at the Gulf Coast of Alabama along the beautiful white sandy beaches and the blue-green waters of the tropics. Really, it makes you feel like you're in the Caribbean, but it's just down the road of fair peace, as they say in the South. I hope that you and yours enjoyed the holiday. You got to spend some time with your family and get some R&R, and now you're all rejuvenated and ready to go. And so let's do it. Let's go. Unfortunately, not everyone got to celebrate the holidays in that quiet, peaceful mode. Across the country this weekend, in just a couple of days, there were more than 200 injured in shootings, more than 70 people killed nationwide, and that unfortunately included 2 security officers, one killed in a mass shooting at a nightclub in Greenville, South Carolina, early yesterday morning. Now, police are still looking for suspects in that shooting that left a number of people dead. You may have heard about this. It actually caught the attention of the national media, something that I have to tell you, I'm kind of surprised that they picked up on it. I guess if there hadn't been a large number of people shot, they probably would not have. But police in Greenville, South Carolina, that's a city right off Interstate I-85, Interstate 85, say that a shooting at the Lavish Lounge left 2 people dead, 8 others shot, and this was just a few hours after another shooting at another different nightclub, also in Greenville, South Carolina, just a few miles or less away, left another security officer shot and suspects on the loose in that situation as well. Police say they believe that in the shooting where 10 people were shot, 2 dead, that it was gang related. They're trying to piece together the evidence. They're trying to put together the scenario of what happened, the timeline, and the players involved. Now, sadly, with these security officers being killed this weekend, we're at 196 security officer deaths in 2020, and we're just a few days into a new month, and a half of the year still left to go. We had a conversation last week with a company talking about, a security company actually, talking about how even though many businesses were closed for 3, 4, 5 months because of COVID-19, even though many security officers were laid off, furloughed, put on hold, still we had over 50 that were killed in violent acts so far this year, another 150 killed almost from COVID. And I'm just giving you rough numbers. If you want the exact numbers and statistics, you can go to our website at privateofficer.org and click on the Officer Down page. I can do that too. I'll probably do it on the first break just to get the real numbers for you. But we're close to 200. And the sad thing is that even with businesses being closed, even with security officers not working, others who were working and trying to help the community in this COVID-19 pandemic were injured, attacked, spat on, shot and killed, in several cases stabbed, one run down by a vehicle last month, and they're out there trying to protect the store owners, protect the public, trying to help keep the peace, just like any law enforcement officer, and yet they became the victims. And unfortunately, we believe that this will probably be one of those years when we are going to see just an outrageous number of security officer fatalities, deaths, murders, and we are well on our way, unfortunately. We were talking, the security company owner and I were talking about what's causing the rise in violence. What can be done about this? How can we change what's happening? How can we curb the rise in not sudden violence, because we've been seeing this for a great number of years. I mean, I'm talking about at least 10, 12, 15 years we've seen every year an increase in violence involving private security. And we talked about what's causing it, number one. Number two, how can we curb it? What can we do to help protect our officers? What can we do to slow down the trend? What can individual security companies do and security officers to better protect themselves? And one of the things that we talked about, obviously, was simply being able to assess the contract before signing your John Hancock on the line. Too many security companies, big and small, being a security company owner myself, I can understand oftentimes the urgency just to sign the thing and get another job, get another contract, get some more billable hours and put some people to work and make some more money. That's what business is all about. Doesn't matter if you're running a 7-Eleven, a McDonald's, or a conglomerate business is about making money. Make no mistake. It doesn't matter who they are. It's about the bottom line. So in talking with the security company owner, he said, no, we've changed that model. We changed that process a number of years ago, because that's exactly right. We were just signing away, not really looking at what type of company this was, or not really assessing the risk to our personnel, not really looking at whether or not this should be an armed contract, or should we have 2 or 3 security officers out there? Is there a really high propensity for violence, dangers? And there are certain type of contracts that do have that almost guaranteed we're going to have some people injured and maybe even killed on the contract. Nightclubs is at the top of the list. Nightclubs is one of the most dangerous contracts that private security companies can have. In fact, within the last few years, police departments have begun not allowing their officers to work at bars and nightclubs because of the hundreds and thousands of incidents every year nationwide of security and police being shot, killed, attacked, violence. And so many police departments have realized that. And they said, no, we don't want you in. If you're going to work at a nightclub, we don't want you inside. We want you outside in the parking lot. We want you to be only going inside when there's a actual incident happening, and then we want you to call in so that we can send you backup. Well, the security company owner and I were talking about this exact thing, and we know that security companies need to do a better job at assessing the dangers of that contract, whether it be the dangers of violence or whether it be the dangers of the environment. We've had security officers fall into quarries at mines. We've had security officers just a couple of years ago in Mobile, Alabama, swept off a marina walkway or bridge into the Gulf Coast during a storm and drowned. We've had security officers who were walking, making a patrol and swiping their little scanner, fall and kill themselves because of the small walkway that they had to use to reach that particular swipe card area. So we know that assessing contracts, assessing the dangers plays a big part in how we can prevent our personnel from being injured or killed. And we're going to actually be talking more about this in the upcoming weeks. We're going to write a white paper on it. We're going to be talking with security company owners and see if we can't come up with 6 or 7 things that we can immediately do at no cost and really no big deal to change the number of security officers being injured and killed in the line of duty. The other thing that you probably are aware of is that in recent months, probably several years actually, we've had a big increase of security officers carrying guns. And through the years that we've had the association, we've seen the percentage of armed security versus unarmed increase probably it's been maybe 5 or 6 years. We've seen it increase 3-4 fold as to, back in the 60s, 70s, and 80s when armed security was almost non-existent. So one of the things that we really need to also talk about is armed security is good and in many cases necessary. But what type of training, what type of instruction is being done? What is really the curriculum? What is the qualification? And how often do they qualify? So that's another area that we're looking at, trying to increase that training and step up the information and the tactical training and other aspects that goes along with it. We're going to take a quick break. Believe me, we've got a lot of information and serious business to be talking about today. And we're glad that you are listening to the Private Officer Beat Radio. We will be right back.
Human trafficking is slavery.
And it happens all over America.
Any child, any woman, any man could potentially become a victim of human trafficking.
I am a victim of labor trafficking.
I was victim of child sex trafficking, but now I own my body.
Human trafficking is any kind of forced labor.
It can happen to anybody.
I am a mother.
I am an author.
I am a son.
I'm an advocate.
I am an educator.
I'm a sister.
I am a brother.
I'm so much more than what happened to me. I am strong.
I am brave.
I am outspoken.
I am compassionate.
I am a survivor.
I'm a survivor.
I am a survivor.
I am a survivor.
I am a survivor.
I am a survivor of human trafficking.
If you're not already receiving breaking news and our bi-weekly newsletter, Officer Down reports, and discount training news in your personal or business email, then go to our website right now at privateofficer.org. privateofficer.org. A Dropbox will come down. Just fill out your info, and you'll be the first, one of the first, for sure, to know about what's happening in the security industry. You'll know when a security officer is killed. You'll also get these great discounts on training and equipment and so much more. privateofficer.org. And if you're not already a member of the Private Officer International Association, sign up while you're there today. Become a lifetime member for just $99, and we'll also include a free Private Officer International patch and lapel pin. If you are already a member, that's great, and we appreciate you. We'd like for you to spread the news and tell your coworkers, employees, and others in the industry about the Private Officer Group and how they can become a member and enjoy more than 40 member benefits. Are you looking for private security training, armed or unarmed? Are you thinking about taking on a new career? Maybe you need a part-time job, but you need to be certified in South Carolina and North Carolina. Well, we know just the person that you need to contact. Call our buddy John over at Premier Training Academy in Charlotte. Premier Training Academy, of course, is the premier training academy in the metro Charlotte, North Carolina, and South Carolina area. Now, they'll provide you with the best elite training for SLED, which is the South Carolina training, or the North Carolina PPS security training, armed or unarmed, first aid training, weapons training, and much more. Again, call our friend John at Premier Training Academy right now. The number is area code 704-806-4933, and tell them Private Officer sent you. That's Premier Training Academy, the premier training in the metro Charlotte North Carolina area. And don't forget, if you need body armor, protective wear, protective clothing, we've got what it takes to protect you. Another friend of ours, Ben Rockman, over there at Body Armor USA in New York, has some of the top of the line protective wear anywhere. Whether you're a corrections officer, a private security agent, a law enforcement officer, or you work in some other industry where you need protective clothing, protective body armor, don't hesitate to look up our friend Ben Rockman at Body Armor USA online today. Or you can give him a call. And, of course, tell him Private Officer sent you. Ben's number is area code 516-817-1666. Again, that number is 817-1666, area code 516. Our friend Ben will take care of you. We've got what it takes to protect you. We want to also highlight a couple things in the news this week, and we're glad that you're here with us to go over some of these hot topics that affect both public law enforcement and private security. And one of the things that we saw within the last couple of days that really did irritate us, it definitely irritated me, I can tell you that for sure, but I know that it irritated others in our office and folks that I have spoke with. But in Broward County, Florida, a deputy sheriff who died of COVID-19, Deputy Shannon Bennett, lost his life in the line of duty. But when his family went to submit the insurance claim for the death policy, AIG Insurance, one of the largest, if not the largest insurance companies in the U.S., they underwrite a lot of different insurance for many different companies. They declined to pay that claim. They said that it was not specifically covered in the policy, although the law enforcement coverage did allow for some on-duty diseases or illnesses. The COVID-19 specifically was not in the policy and not going to be one of those included deaths. He had not been shot to death. He had not had a car wreck. He died of some unforeseen, unseen illness that may or may not have been because of part of his job. And what they were saying was, until otherwise proved, we're not paying out the claim. And unfortunately and sadly, this is not the first officer's family that we've seen or heard of that is suffering through the same thing. They're not able to collect the death benefit that is rightfully theirs, and they're having a hard time to get state insurance commissioners to overrule. And therefore, some of these families have already had to file lawsuits against the insurance carrier at their own cost, hiring attorneys. And we have seen this for the last couple of months, and this is also going to affect private security. So if you're a security officer and you lose your life while on duty, and you have a company insurance policy or private insurance policy that you pay for yourself, there may be a good likelihood that your family will go through the same process and may be denied repeatedly and won't be paid. And they'll have to either hire an attorney and sue this insurance company, or just write it off and continue down the road and suffer because of a disqualifier or something that was not foreseen or included in the insurance company's policy. Now, you probably already know this, but auto insurance companies, life insurance companies, any insurance company that you can think of practices the same procedures the same methods, and it really stinks when you have paid your premiums faithfully month after month after month, year after year after year, and the family is not able to collect on it. I know of a situation that happened a number of years ago where a security officer was he was on the post. He went to work a few minutes early, as he always did, and he got involved in a situation and was shot to death. And the insurance company denied him because he was about 2 or 3 minutes away from punching in when that incident happened, and he died off the clock, was not on duty, and the family lost out. They had to come up with money that they didn't have for burial, for funeral expenses, and it's tragic. And, this is something you probably really do need to address with your HR person who handles insurance for the company. You want to make sure that this disease, which is not going away anytime soon, is included in your policy. And if not, that they get a rider, they get this corrected immediately. Otherwise, security officers working for that company, that business, may lose their life, and the families never collect a nickel to help with any of the medical bills or the funeral cost or anything associated with a loved one's death. I feel this is very uncalled for, unnecessary, and it's really taking advantage of people at the worst time. We've seen this actually during 9/11. We've seen hundreds and probably thousands of claims denied because this was a terrorist attack and not included in the policy itself. If it was a building fire and they lost their life, if the building collapsed and they lost their life, if they fell down the stairs and they lost their life, the policy would have been paid out. But because it was a terrorist incident that was not part of the policy, not written into the policy, it was not paid. In fact, our insurance companies, right after that, suggested that we include terrorism deaths and injuries to our policy. And we did. It wasn't a big, huge premium increase, but it was an increase. And now it's pretty standard. Everybody has to include that if they want to recover any type of money from the premium if there's a death or an injury due to a terrorist act. And when we think of terrorist act, it's just not somebody blowing up a building or flying a plane into a skyscraper. It could be an active shooter that would be designated as a terrorist act. It could be a terrorist act that, you're in a building and they firebomb it. There's all sorts of things that could happen, and that's what insurance is for. It's not for things that might happen or will happen, because if it was going to be for what will happen, the insurance company would never write the policy and they'd be out of business. So it's what could happen, and you have to cover your bases. You really do. We're going to take another quick break. We are so really overwhelmed, to be honest with you, with the COVID deaths, with the attacks on security, with the low morality of law enforcement, with what's happening in our nation in the last 6 or 7 weeks with the continual protests. Many security officers injured, a number killed during these protests. And every day, 7 days a week, our office, our staff, continues to receive calls, emails, and communications regarding all of this activity, and we see it firsthand. And then many of us work out in the field in law enforcement, EMS, security, firefighting, so forth, and so we see it doubly, and it's really taking a toll. Anyways, we'll be right back after this message.
Slow down.
And move over.
When you see lights, vests,
or reflectors, please give us some room. Slow down.
And move over.
We look out for you.
So look out for us.
Please.
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 Slow down.
And move over.
It's the law.
It's the law. It's the law.
For some children, America isn't the land of promise. It's a place where every day is a struggle. Because today in America, 1 in 6 children lives below the poverty line. For these children, living in poverty means going without medicine, going without food, going without a warm home, or even a roof over your head. And that's life for nearly 13 million children of all races, all across America. Where will you draw the line and get involved? You can help these children and their families find a way out of poverty for good. And you can make a difference in more ways than you think. Will you help? Go to povertyusa.org today. Because 1 in 6 children in poverty is one too many. A message from the Catholic Campaign for Human Development.
And welcome back to this edition of the Private Officer Beat Radio. I do want to stop a moment and give props to Central State Health in New Jersey. What a great team of security professionals they have, great leadership, and obviously they care for their teammates, their coworkers, the people on the front line, because they were among numerous companies and individuals that received the COVID-19 awards, and they were presented to the security team members, and we have some photos on our Facebook page, social media sites, if you'd like to take a look. But many companies over the last couple of months have realized the importance of their frontline security staff. And Central State was just one hospital that recognized the importance of the job that their security team was doing at a great risk to themselves. And so we applaud them and the other companies who reached out to Private Officer about the COVID-19 awards. If you would like to recognize your employees, your team leaders, yourself, your local law enforcement, public safety, go to our website at privateofficer.org today. There's a link how to register for that award. In fact, we've been presenting those awards to law enforcement, the fire and EMS service, and other first responders across the country. We have a large presentation to do next week in South Carolina. We're really looking forward to going over there and presenting their team of security officers with the COVID-19 award, because they truly have been out patrolling in public, risking their life, as the rest of these security officers on duty at hospitals and grocery stores and other businesses through this pandemic. Again, if you want to be recognized, if you want to recognize your coworker, your employee, your employer, local law enforcement, EMS, or other first responders, please go to our website, privateofficer.org, and register today. Bonnie Muhammad is a POI member and a security supervisor at Central State Health. Great guy. Obviously, a good security officer, professional. He's in a supervisory position. And he got on the horn to us and let us know about his staff. And you should get on the horn or send us an email at helpdesk@privateofficer.org and let us know about your staff so that we can recognize them. And it doesn't have to be a pandemic. You can recognize your employees, yourself, your coworkers, your company owner, officers, or others 24/7, 365. Contact helpdesk at privateofficer.com. Helpdesk@privateofficer.com, or go to our website at privateofficer.org. Something you probably are aware of, one of the companies that our group owns is Armor College, a professional public safety and career school growing nationwide. And currently, we have positions open for instructors in multiple disciplines in a number of states. One of the areas that we really are looking to expand is our outbound training unit, OTU. The outbound training unit works periodically on call as needed and can sometimes travel to various states, and they teach a multitude of courses, everything from EMS, basic life support, Red Cross, to security, weapons, church security. We even have non-public safety courses, and we will train the instructor. And this is a great opportunity for somebody who loves to be out there, just can't do it full-time because they have another full-time commitment, loves to travel, wants to be part of a team, helping others either procure a job through training or keep their job. And if you're interested, send us an email at Carrie, C-A-R-R-I-E, at Armour, A-R-M-O-U-R, college.org. If you'd like to consider maybe owning a school, send Carrie an email as well, or go to our website at armourcollege.org and click on the link at the top for franchise. It'll explain all about the opportunities that Armour Schools really offer anyone with an entrepreneur spirit and some minimal instructor or training background, because we do train all of our instructors and get them certified in numerous disciplines and areas. Again, contact Carrie at armourcollege.org if you're interested or need further information. We have a lot of things happening at POI and Armour and other companies that we have, and there's a lot of growth and a lot of need for quality professionals. If you want to hear more about what's happening, contact Carrie at Armour College, and she will either have that information or get the right person to get in touch with you. We're going to take another quick break. You are listening to the Private Officer Beat Radio, a production of Private Officer International, a private security and law enforcement organization.
I met Luke when I was pretty much born. We kind of just grew up together. He got his license when he was 16. We were going to the beach, and Luke was driving. I was in the passenger seat, and all of a sudden, I don't remember anything. I wasn't conscious for it. We got hit by a drunk driver. I feel like I knew right away that it was never going to be the same. I don't know. The doctors, they were telling me I was so lucky to be alive. When I found out that he died on impact, I didn't really feel lucky. And sometimes I still don't. Drinking and driving is completely unnecessary, and I think it's selfish if you do it. It's not worth taking that risk, because you never know what's going to happen.
Hey everyone, you're listening to the voice of the Frontline Protector right here on the Private Officer Radio Network. Now don't go away, because we are coming right back when we've got a whole lot more right here on the Private Officer Beat Radio.
any of these people, they've been given a second chance at life through organ and tissue donation. But there are more than 84,000 Americans waiting for life-saving transplants. 17 people die every day waiting. I didn't know this until I lost my best friend, Lyric. She gave the gift of life to 5 people. That's why I've become an organ donor, too. One decision saves so many lives. Donate life.
And welcome back to this edition of the Private Officer Beat Radio. I do want to stop a moment and give props to Central State Health in New Jersey. What a great team of security professionals they have. Great leadership, and obviously they care for their teammates, their co-workers, the people on the front line, because they were among numerous companies and individuals that received the COVID-19 awards. And they were Private Officer International invites you to join our virtual roundtable talks this evening at 7 p.m. Security professionals and law enforcement professionals alike will be online during this virtual first round of talks, including a moderated discussion on race, equality, justified use of force, and other topics that will be brought to the table by our members, listeners, and you, our invitee. This is going to be an open discussion, and it's open to members of the association as well as non-members, social media followers, friends, or you just heard about it. It's going to be 7 p.m. tonight, Eastern Time. To be part of the round table talks, all that you have to do is call area code 319-527-3511. Area code 319-527-3511. It's going to ask you for an access code 843-081-pound. Tonight, 7 p.m. Eastern Time. This will be the first in a series of at least 3 talks that we'll be having. And we're going to be dialoguing on a number of subjects. This is something that we've done in the past. And of course, with what's happening in our nation today, we just felt that this was needed. And unfortunately, because we can't do a face-to-face conference, the next best thing is the virtual reality world. And so we're going to start tonight in our initial conversation. There's going to be a question and answer period. There's going to be this open discussion period when you can put in your 2 cents of comments and maybe lead a topic. And then we're going to have a second and a third discussion over the next couple of months. Again, if you need more information, email helpdesk@privateofficer.com. We have a great number of things happening in our world. And I know that it's very tough to stay on top of. It's very tough to have time with the family, work all the hours that we do. Some of us work secondary jobs as well. It's hard to find the time to give any more than we already have. But in this ever-changing world of providing protective services, providing law enforcement services, we need to continue to up our game in training and to stay on top of current events, current changes in training to avoid doing the wrong thing. And, training has always been a pet peeve of ours. It's always been at the forefront of what POI is all about and why we started the association to begin with. One of the things that we've always suggested is that you take not only the available free online little certificate courses that take 15 to 20 minutes to finish, but also invest in some real, what I would say, hardcore training with real teeth. Now, Armory College offers great discounts to POI members. And starting last month, right around the time COVID really kicked in full swing, we began offering very inexpensive training, $125 for a 10 or 12-week program. If you are one of those professionals out there who's really trying to do the best job possible, but you just can't find the time to do that extra training, contact us. Contact helpdesk@privateofficer.com. We have counselors, even myself, will get on the phone with you and try and work out a schedule of training or certain topics that really will help you to be better at the job and to protect yourself from liability, because that's what really it all comes down to. For the POI members, I really want to encourage you to contact us at helpdesk@privateofficer.com, and let's talk about how we can not only increase your training and awareness and better prepare you for the nuances, the changes that's happening and has been happening in the private security industry. Look at the mental health issues that we're experiencing. We respond daily across this country to mental health crisis without the proper training. And security officers have been injured, killed. Police officers have been injured and killed. Look at the protests and the civil unrest. We have had a lot of interaction between private security and protesters in the last 7-8 weeks, and it's going to be there for the foreseeable future. You need to know how to address situations, how to communicate, how to de-escalate, and whether you're a POI member or not, contact us at helpdesk@privateofficer.com. We want to help prepare you for what's happening and what's about to happen. We're going to take another quick break. When we come back, we're going to talk about the news and a couple other items that I've kind of been journaling about, and as well as writing about. And we'll be looking forward to talking to you tonight on the round table discussions. You're listening to the Private Officer Beat Radio. We'll be right back.
Nurse, I need you to apply pressure to the head wound until I can get to it. I'm concerned she's lost too much blood.
Oh, no.
You in the corner, who are you? You're not supposed to be here.
She's my girlfriend, Doctor.
You need to wait out in the waiting room.
Please, Doctor, I want to stay with her.
Look, she's been badly injured. So if you want to do what's best for her, you need to let us do our work.
Please, Doctor, she has to be okay. I didn't mean to do this. I love her.
Wait a second. You were the driver?
Yes, but I didn't mean to. I swear, we went to dinner. I was just buzzed. I only had a few drinks.
Just buzzed? Why didn't you tell us that? In that case, your girlfriend is fine.
Hey, sweetie. I feel great. You want to get out of here?
I can't believe this. Really, Doctor? She's really okay?
What, are you kidding? No, not really. Nurse, get me a suture kit. Stat.
Buzzed driving. Maybe we should stop acting like it's no big deal. Buzzed driving is drunk driving. A public service announcement brought to you by the U.S. Department of Transportation.
Hey there, Rupert here. You know it's really tough being a survivor on TV, but it's easy being a survivor in your boat. Just make sure everyone in your tribe is wearing their life jacket. Accidents can happen fast on the water. There's rarely time to reach a stowed life jacket in an emergency. But check these life jackets out. New, comfortable, lightweight, and perfect for any boating or sports activity. Be a survivor. Don't just carry that life jacket. Wear it. Yeah!
This message brought to you by the National Safe Boating Council and this station.
skimming over the news that's been happening over the last 3 or 4 days, I can really understand why many people hate the news. They don't read the news. They don't watch the news. They don't listen to the news. They don't want to know anything about what's happening in their city, their community, or the world. And I can't blame them sometimes. Honestly, the news is discouraging, disheartening, sad, violence, crime. It's the same old thing, politics, bad news. And that's how people see it. I realized many years ago that, yeah, there's seems to be a lot more bad than good, but I like to be informed. I like to be on top of what's happening, and I'd like to know what's happening in my own backyard, my own community, city, neighborhood. And so I continue, of course, to stay on top of it. And in this business, we have a news department, so it's kind of hard not to know what's happening. But in the news this week, starting with the July 4th holiday weekend, hundreds of people shot across the country, from Chicago to New York City to L.A., even Omaha, Nebraska, little towns and big cities, explosions and explosives were not fireworks. They were gunshots, killing people, maiming people, injuring people, including law enforcement and private security. And tragically, it left children, teenagers, grandmothers, and others injured or dead. And that's pretty tragic. A man says that he was racially profiled by a security officer at the door of a Walmart. He's an Indian First Nations Indian, and he says that he was racially profiled. The security officer said that he looked like somebody who was a drinker, somebody who was a troublemaker, and that he could not come in to the store. After looking at the information provided, the indigenous Indian native was none of that. And he says that it was just all about racial profiling. And he's filed a complaint, and if he doesn't get an apology, he is going to follow up with an attorney and file a civil lawsuit. Tonight, we're going to be talking about that very thing, about how we let our own bias, our own prejudice, steer the way that we treat others, sometimes not even realizing what we're doing. So be sure to join us tonight on the roundtable discussions. I think you're going to find it very informative. Also in the news, correction officers in New Jersey have been accused of demanding sex for simple things like toilet paper. The correction officer is being accused of being a predator for several years. According to authorities, that security officer has been fired and faces other charges. In Hoover, Alabama, a suburb of Birmingham, a location where Armour College is in the process of opening a new campus, a shooting at the River Chase Galleria, a very nice mall on the outskirts of the city of Birmingham. There was a shooting. Police believe it was gang-related over the weekend. It killed an 8-year-old boy, 3 others wounded. Mall security and store security from several stores responded to the shooting before police arrived. According to Hoover Police, no suspects in custody. They are looking for a suspect. A former deputy sheriff in Pennsylvania has been granted probation after he ran into a security officer at the York Expo Center earlier last year. It seems he was at an event at the Expo Center. He had a disagreement with the female security officer. He got into his vehicle and purposely hit her with the bumper of his vehicle. He was charged with felony aggravated assault, but the 73-year-old retired deputy Richard Van Egming, who now resides in Mississippi, had that charge reduced to a misdemeanor with probation. I'm not sure why that happened. It sounds like a pretty good case of a felony, but considering they was former law enforcement, they may have decided to cut him a break. An off-duty police officer working security in Del City, Oklahoma, fired at a shoplifter in the parking lot of a Walmart. Details are pretty sketchy at this time. Police are investigating. The university police officer, it doesn't look like he was had any police authority off the school campus. They're investigating whether or not he should have been in uniform and whether or not the use of force was justified. Also in the news coming out of Chicago, Illinois, on Friday, a Brinks armored truck was robbed of an unspecified amount of money. Police say that a gunman approached the security officer and took a bag of money at gunpoint and then ran from the scene. Police are reporting that a suspect is in custody after a shooting at a university in Newark, Ohio. Campus police officers at the Ohio State University Newark campus and Central Ohio Technical College responded to the shooting. One suspect, unnamed at this time, is in police custody. In Savannah, Georgia, the TSA says that 3 more of their security screeners have been identified as having COVID. TSA says that 589 employees have recovered. 5 of their security officers died, and 1 private security contractor has died so far of COVID. On our website at privateofficer.org, we've listed all of the deaths, including the TSA officers. In Toledo, Ohio, just a day and a half, 2 days ago, police officer Anthony Dia responded to a call about a disturbance at a Home Depot and went to address the suspect that was responsible. Customers thinking he was drunk and was in a confrontation with customers when he pulled out a gun and shot and killed Officer Dia, shot him in the chest. He later committed suicide in the Woodbines in the back of the store. Officer Dia survived by his wife, 2 sons, and parents. Very tragic case. The L.A. school police chief, the L.A. school system has their own police department, resigned last week after his budget was slashed by the public school board almost in half. The chief of police, Todd Chamberlain, said there's just no way that he was going to allow the school system to put him in a position that makes him unable to provide professional services and to guarantee any type of protection for the school, for the students, for the staff. He says he could not support the modifications to either the budget or his position, as they wanted to reduce him to a lesser position. We're seeing school systems across the nation deleting, completely cutting out, erasing school police departments and contracts with police agencies that have provided SROs for 10, 20 years. We've mentioned about the changes that need to be made in the SRO program. That's something we are going to be talking about in an upcoming program. But this is a real safety concern to take away armed law enforcement. It's a situation where we're putting lives at risk. I understand that SROs were involved in many incidents that really was non-law enforcement related. They were used as disciplinarians. They were used as escorts. They were used to scare children, and that's wrong. And we're going to be talking about that in another radio program and we also have a training project that we're working on. We're going to roll that out in the next few weeks. Coming out of St. Louis, Missouri, a 19-year-old was beaten by another person on the Metrolink platform while two security officers stood nearby. They never engaged the other suspect. They never tried to intervene. They never tried to de-escalate. They never tried to do anything. They stood by and they watched. There's not even any witnesses who say that the security guards called police. The agency that really employs these contract security officers are not happy. There is an investigation both by the agency and law enforcement to see if the security officers acted properly. A Dick's Loss Prevention agent has been terminated after seriously assaulting a shoplifter. A Dick's Sporting Goods LP employee fired from his job could face criminal charges. I reviewed a video that's on Facebook and on the web. It really does show that the LP agent went a little bit too far in the amount of force that he used, and there's a lot of allegations the LP agent made that's not visible on the video, which, by the way, started at the initial contact between security and the suspected shoplifter. So this is one of the cases we are going to use in talking about the use of force and de-escalation. So, again, I invite you to join us tonight and for the next couple of discussions on the roundtable discussions. Police in Urbana, Illinois, say that a security officer was injured by a patient. It seems that a confrontation inside the hospital, the Carly Hospital, occurred Friday at about 2 a.m. The person was a patient admitted with mental health condition. He tried to leave. Security tried to detain him, and that's when the assault took place. A correction officer in Louisville, Kentucky is being called a hero after a shooting at the Jefferson Mall. The correction officer heard the confrontation, the shots, and he pursued the suspect. Correction officer Ronald Harris helped to apprehend the suspect. He's been on the job, by the way, less than a year. So kudos go out to him, and maybe we'll try and contact their agency and present him with an award. In Austin, Texas, 6 TSA officers have been identified with testing positive for COVID-19. We're seeing this still today, 4 months later after COVID began. We're seeing TSA agents still being identified as having the COVID-19 virus and coming in contact with it, obviously because they are working with a high amount of people. In South Alabama, Baldwin County, the Baldwin County Sheriff's Office has purchased a couple of drones. He's going to be using it for security projects at large events, which they do have many. They're right there on the beach in South Alabama, as well as for lost persons, for medevac, and for other law enforcement engagements. A lot of departments, both private and public, are using the drones successfully, and it's a tool, another tool in the toolbox to have. In Hollywood, Florida, Broward County Sheriff's Department is looking for a possible security guard who was in full uniform who got into a confrontation on a Broward County bus and wound up stabbing a man. Police believe that he is a security officer due to the fact of the way that he was dressed in full uniform and not just a shirt or a patch or a jacket. Police in Washington, D.C. say a person assaulted a George Washington Hospital police officer, private police officer. That suspect was arrested. His name has not yet been released. In the Hamptons of New York, a very rich area of New York, just outside of the city, well-to-doers are hiring private security to protect them as mobs of protesters, rioters really, have moved into the area. We've seen this in other states where well-to-do, upper-class, middle Americans have experienced protesters coming to their neighborhoods, violently attacking them, vandalizing their homes, and causing disturbances with little response or interaction from law enforcement. But many of these areas now have hired armed security, and you're going to see this more and more as a protest. They're not going to end anytime soon. They're going to continue on. That's going to do it for this week's edition of the Private Officer Beat Radio. We've got a lot more to talk about. We hope that you join us tonight on the roundtable discussions, and be sure to join us every week on Monday for the Private Officer Beat Radio. And if you want to participate in anything that we do, go to privateofficer.org. Become a member today for as little as $99 for a lifetime membership. Contact Help Desk at privateofficer.com if you need more information, if you have questions, or if you'd like to be, involved in the organization. Until the next time, be safe, be blessed, and we will see you right back here on the radio.